Some emotions are clearly pleasurable and others are painful. And some emotions are so painful they can push us into great turmoil. From that place of turmoil, we can sometimes turn to others for help. Of the others we turn to help, some are wise and others are foolish. Some are kind and others are cruel. The cruel and the foolish will sometimes find it profitable to pathologize human experience. I'm not talking about psychosis. I'm not talking about schizophrenia. I'm not talking about bipolar disorder. I'm not talking about clinical depression. I'm not talking about borderline personality disorder. I'm talking about run-of-the-mill garden variety emotions. But while we're on the subject, now this is very controversial because there are some cults who don't want people ever taking medicine ever, and I think that's a huge mistake. But quick like a bunny, let's hit button number 8 and scroll down. When you scroll down under the heading of vegan education, there should be a link for science. This link right here will take you to nutritionfacts.org. It's run by an MD, an actual doctor, whose hobby is, whose great passion is analyzing peer-reviewed studies, not mere theories, not bro science, but hard science. And one of my favorite videos of his shows peer-reviewed studies that have found that depression is not a psychological disorder, but a physiological disorder with psychological symptoms. And when it is treated as such, it can be remedied in a week. Not a quarter, not a month, not a decade, a week. So if you feel you have a genuine psychiatric disorder, I would urge you to use this link right here and use the PCRM free service to find a physician, an MD, whose specialty is psychiatry, who's made the emphasis of his continuing education the analysis of peer-reviewed studies correlating psychiatric issues with lifestyle choices. That seems to have the quickest and most far-reaching results. So instead of spending a decade or a year or a quarter in talk therapy, in a week, you can deal with something, which is amazing. But let's get back to the issue at hand. Where am I? I'm going over to hit button 5. That's it. There are people who will exploit the vulnerable and convince you that you need to medicate your emotions away. And there is a metaphysical version of that insists you need to crystal your emotions away. But that's predicated upon the assumption that emotions are pathological. They are not. We evolved to have survival mechanisms. They are older than primates. Although they're older than humanity, they're older than primates, they're even older than mammals. And so our fundamental survival mechanisms are pre-lingual, they're pre-cognitive. They're designed to shake us up like a French au pair. So emotions have evolved to do that. When emotions are shaking us up, they're doing their job. The last thing so for instance, if an alarm is going off The problem, if a fire alarm is going off, the problem is not that a striker is hitting a bell. The problem is that there's most likely a fire and people are in peril and the building needs to be evacuated and the experts called. Similarly, when our emotions are going off, the last thing we need to do is numb them or quiet them. We need to learn from them. But how do we do that? Well, we treat emotions as spiritual rocket fuel. We can work with our emotions by using mindfulness and meditation, by using our ancient circuitry of our sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems, not to actively concentrate, but to passively notice, vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly. We can feel those strong emotions, those big feelings as we breathe in. Every time we breathe out, we are already wired, thanks to our parasympathetic nervous system, we're wired to physically relax and mentally release. We do not do that to quiet our emotions or make them go away. We do that. We notice them and we release them in an effort to process them. So that the doing so, working with the profound mechanisms of our sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems, helps the supercomputer between our ears, the 3-pound squishy supercomputer between our ears, to benefit from these emotions and to respond to them in the most empowered way. There's a wonderful book called The Roots of Zen, and it explores the ancient sutras and shastras of Chan and Zen and Dzogchen. And a common thing is that our job is not to get lost in analyzing our emotions or repressing our emotions, but in perceiving our emotions and releasing our emotions. We will explore the nitty-gritty of that during the review of the of the meditation technique in just a few minutes. On second thought, no, let's strike while the iron is hot. So I think I'm going to click button 9. We're going to go take things out of order today. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so I've used a bunch of big words. Let's give you something tangible. Let's give you a hook to hang your hat on. Every time we inhale, whether we know it or not, we are accessing our sympathetic nervous system, which is not evolved for active concentration, but which has evolved to merely perceive. And to do so vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly. Therefore, during each inhalation, the most effective way to practice mindfulness is to simply, silently, and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this. Conversely, during each exhalation, we are already wired by natural selection to effortlessly access our parasympathetic nervous system, which has evolved for both physical relaxation as well as mental release. Therefore, the easiest way to practice meditation is to silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease during each exhalation. So let's wrap this up in a nutshell. The key to mindfulness and meditation is the silent and mental recitation of this and ease during each inhalation and exhalation, wherein we'll notice and relax. And believe it or not, this is the dynamo that powers enlightenment. Not in 3 great aeons, not in 7 decades, not in 7 years, not in 7 quarters, not in 7 months, not in 7 fortnights, not in 7 weeks, but possibly in as little as 7 days. Not through some great Herculean effort, but just by cultivating a healthy, sane, sustainable meditation practice approximately once every 12 hours for 7 consecutive days. Before we actually practice meditation, let's take a few moments together as a team to chant the Saturday morning excerpt of the Song of Enlightenment, a favorite of Chan Buddhism and Zen Buddhism, composed by, forgive my pronunciation, Yong Yeshuan Jue, translated by Red Pine, adapted and amplified by yours truly. So together, as a team, let's chant. What the mind creates, the body suffers or renders. No need to claim injustice or shift the blame. If you are hoping to avoid karma's endless fires, do not criticize the Tathagata's true teaching. In the context of the overarching document, this is referring to discarding the ease of mindfulness and meditation, whose technique we just explored. In the forest of nothing but sandalwood trees, where it is lush and remote lions dwell. In the sylvan wooded quiet they roam where they will. Other beasts, even birds, keep the distance. Lion cubs all trained behind. By the time they are 3, they can roar. Foxes who follow the Dharma king. After lifetimes of mischief, they can only yap. Okay, this is heavy metaphor. Allow me to decode this for you. A lion is often a symbol of the Buddha or a high bodhisattva. A cub here refers to nuns or monks who within 3 years can be trained well enough to become journeymen. Now, I don't know of a gender neutral way of version of journeyman. If you know of a gender neutral version of that, please suggest it in the chat window. So there is a dichotomy drawn, a contrast drawn here, that true nuns and monks within 3 years can be journeymen, but there are others who after lifetimes are only like yapping foxes, which do not compare well to lion cubs or juvenile lions or adolescent lions. And the idea is here is just because someone has a bad haircut and wears robes, just because someone sits in the meditation posture, doesn't mean they're going to get the same results. If people are using ineffective techniques with the best of intentions, they can still get crappy results. What the author is inferring here is stick with mindfulness and meditation. It's the quick path to great results. Let's continue. The sudden teaching is sentimentality free. As long as doubts remain, arguments follow. This mountain monk is not just banging his drum. He cares who might fall into the nothing or forever trap. So the nothing or forever trap is being stuck on concentration or stuck with emptiness. We need both mindfulness and meditation, noticing and releasing. Just as a bird requires both its wings to fly, we need, according to the great philosopher Nagarjuna, the South Indian Buddhist philosopher Nagarjuna, we need both mindfulness of the conventional and meditation upon the ultimate, awareness and acquiescence. Together, let's chant. No or not, no, yes or not, yes. To miss by an inch is the same as 1,000 miles. Yes, and a dragon maiden certainly became a Buddha. No, and soon not Kshatra fell into hell alive. So, even the most likely of individuals can become a Buddha if they use the right techniques in the right way. Even the most impressive individuals, if they forsake the right techniques and the right practice, will get bad results. I look forward to meditating with you in a little bit less than a minute. For now, it's time for a bit of the old housekeeping. Oh, that doesn't look good. Let me fix that image real quick. Or I should say that display. There we go. Okay. So, a bit of the old housekeeping. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. I've spent more than half my life studying and practicing and reverse engineering all the practices and techniques, teachings, and techniques of every sect of Buddhism, so that I might play the Yoda to your Luke Skywalker, that you could easily and quickly become the person that your dog already thinks you are. Welcome to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. Let us take a moment to briefly chant the recitations of empathetic bodhicitta and enthusiastic refuge. We'll begin with the longer triplet chant. May I liberate all beings from the tyranny of hating, craving, and clinging by relying on the Buddha's example, instructions, and students. And now the more concise bookend chant. May I liberate all beings by relying on the three jewels. May I liberate all beings by relying on the three jewels. May I liberate all beings by relying on the three jewels. And now that we've already been through the meditation instructions, together as a team, we can meditate as transformatively as General Leia Organa on Ajahn Kloss under the guidance of Luke Skywalker. Oh, I think I forgot to mention, if at any point, and let me hit the right button on the screen real quick, if at any point at all during the remainder of the live stream you have a specific question about Buddhist meditation, Buddhist philosophy, and their application, simply type your question in great detail in the chat window. If you're on a laptop or a desktop, that should be on the right, and if you're on your smartphone, when you hold it vertically, the chat window should be right here. I check for questions approximately once every 8 minutes. Welcome to this morning's group practice. During the remainder of the time we have together, if you have any questions about Buddhist meditation, Buddhist philosophy, or how to apply them to your life, simply type your question in great detail in the chat window. Here's the essence of mindfulness. The essence of mindfulness is not to actively concentrate, but to merely perceive during each inhalation, and to perceive vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly. Therefore, during each inhalation, it's perfectly appropriate to silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this. The key to meditation is during each exhalation to physically relax as well as mentally release, while silently and mentally reciting the one-syllable verb ease. That's how we set mindfulness and meditation upon our respective inhalations and exhalations. Let us seal this morning's practice with a bit of the old chanting, beginning with kind ethics and concluding with the 4 immeasurables. May all beings practice of kind communication, conduct, and calmness flow spontaneous and uncontrived. May everyone be free from misery. May everyone be happy. May no one be separated from the happiness. May everyone have balance from the tyranny of hating, craving, and clinging freed. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel on Patreon. In approximately 10 3/4 hours, I would very much like to return to lead tonight's evening meditation classes, as well as group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, this is the way.